Welcome to Psychic Insights, where pop culture meets higher consciousness and the tea is always a little bit mystical. I'm Robin Richardson, your psychic girlfriend, and around here we don't just watch the drama unfold, we read the energy behind it, whether it's celebrity scandals, reality TV, chaos, or true crime with a twist. I'm tuning in to bring you the intuitive scoop the headlines miss. So buckle up, because your aura's about to get entertained. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Robin Richardson, your psychic girlfriend, and I hope you've been enjoying Love Trap, the podcast, because I know I have. And I heard today on Dave Neal that the podcast has, which is originally supposed to be 8 episodes, is going to 12. So this is exciting. So I thought to myself, okay, this is great. And I mean, if you've been listening to this or following the story about Clayton Echard and Laura Owens, we hear in the podcast that, how just sort of he was the most hated bachelor and just all these sort of mistakes that, he was making. And, you probably are thinking the same as I. It's just like, oh, probably this podcast is a lot for him, or maybe it's really hard to relive all this, or even, geez, what a mess. And on the surface, yeah. But I step back and I've always kind of thought that, not always, I don't like using that language. I've consistently, I like that word better, consistently thought about Clayton, and we did a little bit in earlier episodes about his human design and what he's set up for, what his blueprint is. I thought to myself, I wonder what energy as a result of this podcast, what's going to be happening for him. All right, so quick context if you haven't been following. The whole Love Trapped podcast is currently ranked number 11 on Apple Podcasts across all podcasts, which is really insane when you think about it, because that tells you something right away, that this is not fading, it's growing. And when something like this grows, it usually means that more people are paying attention, more is coming out, and the story isn't done yet, right? So instead of asking, why did this happen to Clayton, all the stuff that happened to him, I wanted to ask a different question. And I wanted to ask my cards, a different question, like, what is this opening up for him? Because this changes everything. And I looked at his human design again, and I want to talk to you about this, not in a complicated way, but again, to understand the pattern. And what stood out immediately in his design is he's someone who is designed to be in life, not controlling everything, not orchestrating everything, but responding to what shows up. And he has a profile where people project onto him, like a lot. So he's got kind of a challenging profile, right? So people will decide, who he is, what role he plays, and what they think happened, and then he has to deal with it. So when I see him in this situation, I don't think, why him? I think, well, this actually makes sense, because this is the kind of experience that shapes someone like that. There's also a part of his design that's literally about going through intense situations and coming out stronger on the other side. And if you're listening out there, does this resonate with you at all? And if you're interested in your human design, go take a look at bodygraph.io, put in the stuff, put in your information and pull your report. It might give you some understanding about what you go through. Okay, so this pressure, this experience, this exposure, it's not random. It's part of how he expands and grows. And so I pulled some cards just, on this, and I asked, what is this actually doing for him? And the story is kind of interesting. I hope you might like it. I pulled letter and ship, and these are the first two cards that came up. And this means this is spreading. This is going far. And it's not a small situation. And this is people this is going to reach people who would have never known about this. And it already is. If this podcast is already hitting the charts this high across all of the, podcast platforms, this is really interesting, right? All right, so this is important. We have the book. Okay. The book. And there's still more that has to come out, which then would make sense with the additional episodes added. So we don't even have the full picture yet. And we know the story is still going on because Laura's felony trial isn't scheduled yet. It's not, we haven't gone there yet. All right. So we could have a lot more episodes, right? All right. And then we have the cross. And this is where I'm like, okay, this is part of his path. This is not easy. It's not light, but it is meaningful. Like, it's something that he was meant to walk through. All right, and then we have the lily. And the lily, this is the part I like for him. This is about staying calm, staying mature, not reacting, and taking the high road even when it's hard. And we've seen this with Clayton. He's that guy, That guy, he's talked about mental health, working on mental health. He's taking dance lessons, salsa, go salsa. I loved seeing that for him. I'm like, learn bachata. It's even better, in my opinion. Anyway, I digress. Okay, so then we have, oops, wrong one. We have the house. And this is the outcome. This is stability, foundation, reputation. And he's a real estate agent. So it's interesting that, or broker. I don't know the difference. I have to refer to my Selling Sunset stuff. But the house, actually, for him, he's getting a better reputation. He's building a solid foundation, literally by selling houses. So that's kind of cool, huh? All right. So when I look at all of them together, I'm asking opportunities. Like, I started thinking, okay, what does this actually open up for him? Because there's a lot. And first of all, there's visibility. It's putting him in front of people who would never have known him, not just the Bachelor audience, but way beyond that, and learning about this person's journey, learning about Clayton's journey through this series of, events in his life, right? And this could change how people see him. Like, he goes from the reality TV guy to someone who's handled something really difficult with integrity. And that's a big shift. And there's also something about his energy where he's meant to tell the story after living it. So this podcast is supporting that, and it will open more doors for interviews and speaking, and maybe like expanding his own platform. And I remember he was doing something about helping men's health. I think that's amazing. Okay, and then for growth, like, honestly, this seems like one of those moments where you either shrink or you expand, and I feel like he is expanding. And so when I asked, what does he need to do right now, these cards were really clear. We had the man, and it's stay in yourself. Like, don't lose who you are. Even in the expansion, don't lose who you are. And the snake, it's not about, this is about not reacting emotionally. It's about being strategic. And it's about thinking before speaking. It's about moving intentionally. And then this is beautiful. This is the clover. And the clover is opportunities are here for him. Some of them might be subtle, and some small things will turn into bigger things. So here's my guidance. If I were speaking directly to Clayton, I would say, don't rush. Don't react. Be thoughtful about your next moves, and pay attention to the small opportunities because they are leading somewhere. And And this is the part I think people miss. At some point, something like this stops being just a situation, it becomes a turning point. So when I look at all of this together, his design, the cards currently, and what's happening, I don't see something ruining him. I see something that's expanding him, strengthening him, and setting him up for something bigger. And sometimes what looks like a problem is actually a redirection. And I'm curious what you think. Do you feel like this is helping him or hurting him at some point? And if you want me to break down what I think will happen next, let me know in the comment section. Because this story is bigger than just the event of Laura Owens. So let's keep looking at it. I know I will, and I'll see you in the next one.